I feel a responsibility to consider the occupant of the womb as a candidate member of society in the future, and thus to say that it cannot be only the responsibility of the woman to decide upon it, that it's a social question and an ethical and a moral one. And I say this as someone who has no supernatural beliefs.
What are those who disagree with you missing? They simply refuse to accept that it's an unborn child?
Well, actually, no, there's been progress on that front. You almost never hear now, which I can remember hearing from some ultra-feminists, that the occupant of the womb is simply an outgrowth or extrusion of the mother's body, such as an appendix might be, or even worse, a tumor. I've heard it compared to that. That, I notice, they don't say anymore. There's a good deal more reflection on that point.
One of the most fascinating people in the entire abortion debate is my friend and colleague Nat Hentoff, who is a writer and a civil libertarian, generally supports the right of women, always supports the right to choose, for example, the right to choose to read or write pornography. He's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in the soul of a fetus, and yet he does not support a woman's right to choose abortion.
Once the sperm and the egg meet and they find a sort of nesting place in the uterus, you now have a developing human being. It's not a kangaroo, it's not a giraffe, it's a human being. And that development in the womb until the person comes out is a continuing process. Therefore, if you kill it at any stage, first 3 weeks, first 3 months, you're killing a developing human being.
There are conflicting values, and taken in isolation, each of the values is quite legitimate. So the value of preserving human life, or for that matter the life of any organism, that is a value that we should accept. You shouldn't just go arbitrarily kill some animal because it's fun to kill it. That's a reasonable value. On the other hand, most people will agree to swat a mosquito. Okay, well the idea that life should be valued has come into conflict with another value. And we know what that one is. And that's commonly the case. The values that we hold are not absolute. They are always contingent. They conflict. And life is made up of decisions in complicated situations in cases of conflicting values. If you listen to just one in isolation, yeah, it may sound legitimate and maybe is, but you have to ask what it means under particular conditions. So choice is legitimate, preserving life is legitimate.
The Roman Catholic Church, because many churches claim to be Catholic, the Roman Catholic Church takes the view that there can be no trifling with the life of the unborn, and that the concept unborn child is not a propaganda concept, but a meaningful one, a real one, a true one, and that deserves protection and tenderness. As it happens, I agree with this view for materialist reasons. It seems to me obvious from the discoveries of biology and embryology that the concept unborn child is a real one. It's not just a dialectical. It's a materialist question to begin with. I mean, embryology is a materialist science, and even if you didn't think that before the recent discoveries about, say, the early viability of an unborn child or fetus, embryo, whatever you wish to call it, there was no question that it was alive. It wasn't just a jungle of cells or a tumor or an appendix, as some feminists used to refer to the unborn. In my memory, it was simply a growth on and of the woman's body, not a separate thing, not a living thing.
Not the early feminists.
The question resolves itself to me like this. It's obviously alive. There's an element of casuistry in asking, well, what kind of alive is it? I mean, if it's a life, it must be a human one. It can't be a non-human or inhuman one. So all these questions are decided that way. I'm not a pacifist. I don't think that there are no circumstances in which a human life can be taken, or the balance of one life doesn't have to be measured by all kinds of means against another. But I think that it's extraordinarily objectionable to exclude the occupant of the womb from this as if they weren't candidate members of the human race.
atheist opposition to abortion. Tell me a little more about that. I mean, I don't think I'm going to agree with it, but you feel that way, you think?
Yeah, I think it is murder, though it might be second degree in many cases, but I realize it's a very difficult issue. And I sort of wanted to be a good card-carrying liberal, but I just couldn't. I thought, you know, if you go along this potential personhood, they're not actually persons because, well, then neither are infants, and I just couldn't come up with anything that wouldn't legitimate infanticide, too.
Now, maybe some of us are going to go off to heaven. I happen to think that's not true. I have called this, in my own writings, a future of value. If denying somebody their future of value is what makes it wrong to kill them, and this is because we think that the misfortune of death for them is a denial of their future of value, then fetuses have futures of value also, because a fetus's future will contain everything that Michael's future and my future contain, and a great deal of our past too. So fetuses have futures like ours, and since being denied one's future is what makes it wrong to kill us, then abortion is wrong.
I am an atheist, and that means that I don't believe in God, I don't believe in resurrection, either bodily or spiritual, I don't believe in a special providence, I don't believe in a future state, and I don't believe in anything supernatural. I also have concerns about certain moral beliefs of various atheists. So I myself take the view that abortion, for example, is highly questionable, and I'm concerned that society is going down a route going towards a position where we have more and more abortions. It's considered basically a right of the mother, without reference to the child, to abort the fetus. And we're not in that position yet, but I'm concerned that we will move towards that position.
Social justice is valued by religious and non-religious people alike. According to the Pew Center for Religion and Public Life, nearly a quarter of people between the ages of 18 and 29 practice no religion. We are more pro-life and less religious than ever before. That is the dynamic. And it is up to you to capture the enthusiasm of non-religious pro-lifers on your campus, because I promise you they are out there.
So then are you opposed to abortion? Christopher, Christopher, so does that mean that are you involved in the pro-life movement in that case?
I believe that the concept unborn child is a real concept, yes. And I've had a lot of quarrels with some of my fellow materialists and secularists on this point. I think that if the concept child means anything, the concept unborn child can be said to mean something. And actually all the discoveries of embryology, which have been very considerable in the last generation or so, and of viability, appear to confirm that opinion, which is, I think it should be innate in everybody, is innate in the Hippocratic Oath, is instinct in anyone who's ever watched a sonogram, and so forth. So yes is my answer.